Hey there, Steve Brossman here from Business Online T. Buckle up, put your helmets on because I have a fast and furious interview for you today. Sharrons Spratt from Fast Track People. Welcome along.
Thanks, my pleasure, Steve.
Now, I said fast and furious because you guys are leadership trainers, but you do things with a difference. Can we talk about that first and then we'll talk about some of the other things that you do? What do you do differently?
Well, we challenge the conventional leadership model of training by starting our program, which often runs for 6 months, by getting people on the back of Harley Davidsons as pillion passengers. And then we get them out on the road, giving them different exercises to do. And what we find is that, particularly now with the latest findings in neuroscience, it gets something happening in the brain that has very powerful results.
That is one hell of a practical way to get things started, isn't it? And you leverage from that to lead into a lot of your other trainings. So why bikes? And you've got a great history, so let's hear about that.
Well, it didn't occur to me for many years. I've been riding motorbikes, done over 500,000 kilometres, in fact, in about 20-odd countries. And I had a bit of an epiphany a couple of years ago in a conversation where I thought, gosh, there's a huge amount of leadership resources in riding motorcycles. So once we started to explore that, we discovered a number of different areas. Just for a quick example, if you're finding that when you're managing, you're getting caught up in the day-to-day, it often relates on an exercise that we do to how far ahead you look when you're on the bike. So people who tend to look close to the front of the bike find it quite stressful, whereas once we get them to look further around the corner, for example, they relax and they go, oh, this isn't much easier. And when I think about that back at work, same thing. When I start to look further ahead and not worry about the little potholes and obstacles day to day, it's much easier.
It just makes sense, and what a great way of getting that message across. And you get such a great return on investment. You were telling me earlier some of the things that you've been doing is just phenomenal.
Well, yes, the last program that we ran, we were able to get a 9-to-1 return on the investment that the company put in for a whole team of managers. So they were thrilled, yeah.
You also specialise in a specific type of people, and in your words, it's basically taking them from tech leaders to people leaders, which sounds fantastic.
Well, most of the people that we've been working with are either in IT or in engineering, and what they find is it can be quite a challenge when they get promoted to start to get results through influencing others rather than from their own direct efforts. And we help them make that mindset switch really quickly, and that makes a big difference in terms of getting results and getting them up and running in that early stage of promotion.
I guess that would be quite daunting, wouldn't it? I mean, you're the manager of your keyboard, you know, what you do, and the keyboard generally, not always on my computer, but generally behaves and does what it's told. But then having to deal with human beings would be quite stressful for them, and you take them through a great process.
Yes, well, one of the complaints that they often make is, say, Sharron, people aren't binary, what do I do here? So we help them develop some key principles so they can tap into those principles. When we use the motorcycling metaphor as well, they've got a wealth of resources. So once they get up and running, they don't need us anymore. They've got what they need already, and very often they already know it. It's just a matter of bringing it out.
Now, you don't do everything out on the bike, do you?
No. No. In fact, that's our very first workshop, and that helps us set the groundwork and get people off to a really fast start. And then from there, we use a more conventional workshop approach. We do a lot of face-to-face training with people. We also do live support where we sit in and observe them, and then we give them feedback on everyday things that they're doing with their people and with their team, and they really appreciate that kind of on-the-spot feedback as well.
Now, I know that you guys are in quite high demand because the type of people you work with are a growing breed of people out there, and you're really servicing them well.
Yes, well, we're finding that people are more and more starting to understand the difference between managing a keyboard and managing people. Businesses are willing to invest in helping that because to them, looking after people is, as they often say, is our key asset, but they don't necessarily always know how. And when we look at the results that we're getting with engagement scores going up, team productivity going up, attrition going down, they're all good signs.
It just makes sense that they really should look after the people as they're going through that transition. Because I guess when you look at most leadership roles, if you're already part of a team and you're interacting and then you become a leader, you know the dynamics of the team. But if you're you in the keyboard, and then you're thrust into a leadership role, that would have to be one of the biggest transitions you would have in business.
Well, a lot of people that we've interviewed on the senior executive side, in fact, for the book that I'm currently writing, have said exactly that. it's very hard. That first step up is often the hardest one to make, because you are having to switch your mindset completely in terms of how you relate to people, and thinking a lot more strategically. So rather than getting caught up in the day-to-day and dealing with the squeaky wheels, it's about how do I think further ahead, what other things do I need to take into account.
Now, you keep the bike metaphors going pretty well right throughout your training, and you've got a great giveaway for the people out there, and I won't steal your thunder by saying exactly what it is. Can you tell us what it is and actually what it does?
Yeah, well, look, we'd like to offer people the opportunity to look at one of our particular tools that we use, and we call it the Pirelli wheel. So anyone who's involved in motorcycles or cars would know what Pirelli is all about, and that's a way to help people to get their productivity up to speed very, very quickly. So the concept that we use is helping them to look at what are they paying most attention to, and in the centre of the wheel is what's going to have the most impact in terms of business results, rather than all the stuff that goes all around the outsides. It's very easy to get sucked into, but you need to be focused on the centre. So we've got a model that they're very welcome to download and use.
That is absolutely fantastic. I guess the last thing we need to tell them is, where do they get it?
Right. Well, they can go to our website at www.fasttrackpeople.com.au.
And we'll have the details across there, so you can copy that down and get hold of your own Pirelli wheel. And you need two to get out on the bike track, but this one is really going to make a difference to you in your business. Now, I've got to get out and get on the back of the Harley with you soon rather than later, so I'm looking forward to that and going on my own little bike ride. Thank you so much for coming in, and the great work that you're doing in that niche area, which is very important.
Thanks, Steve, and we have a lot of fun with it, and it's my pleasure to be here today.
Thank you, and we're going to have another fantastic interview coming up for you guys again real soon. Cheers.